There are many different pathways to expansion. Many of us are called to share what we learn to help lift others. And although we don't always agree on every approach, there's something to offer everyone through our uniqueness and experiences. Michelle and Carrie are creating a space to help raise consciousness for others. Their new podcast is about reaching your full spiritual potential through esoteric, hermetic, and even some magical practices. Their goal is to bring happiness, purpose, and meaning into life in the best ways they know how. Let's take a closer look at how they are approaching their own expansion and growth. Hey, welcome everybody to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway, your channel for community support, help, friendship, love, knowledge, and just plain being of value to others. Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, it's good to have you with us. If you're returning, thank you. And it's Friday night, and you know what time that is? It's time to feed your mind and grow your heart. And tonight's topic is Raising Your Consciousness podcast with Michelle Thompson and Carrie Fitzgerald. And we're super excited to have them on tonight. It's going to be a great conversation. First thing I'd like to do, though, Teresa, if I could, is just acknowledge chat quickly. We've got Chloe in the house tonight. Thanks, Chloe. So glad you're here. Yeah, love you, sister. Susie Q, love you popping in. Thank you so much. Grandpa Brian, I hope you're feeling a lot better tonight. I know you were not feeling well today. Sent you lots of good energy and good vibes. Mary Wins, welcome. Good to see you as well. Thanks for being here. Lucky Stone, I saw your video with the wand. That was pretty cool with the crystal.
That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah, very cool. So awesome. Yep. Looks like have a few people in here right now, so I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Teresa, and she's going to introduce our special guests tonight. Hi, Pearl Jones. I see you.
Hey, Delaney. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another Friday night program, and I hope everybody had a great week full of prosperity, joy, and you got through some of the colder weather and snow. I know a lot of folks are having snow. All righty. Well, I just want to say welcome to a lot of our new subscribers. We've had at least a dozen in the past couple of weeks and more streaming on the other channel through Pure Love, and some new Instagram followers as well. So welcome to all of you. And if you're not in the chat room, that's okay. We know you're watching and we appreciate your comments. So feel free to comment in our public comment section if you have anything you'd like to say. So tonight we have a very wonderful opportunity to have our dear friend Michelle Thompson back on from Limitless You.
Welcome, Michelle.
Welcome back, sweetheart. Welcome back. We always have a good time with her.
Yeah, we do.
and she always brings a lot of knowledge to the table. And
absolutely.
To our discussions. And she has teamed up with a very lovely, talented, and gifted person from a community that she's known for quite some time. Dr. Carrie Fitzgerald. Welcome, Carrie.
Welcome, Carrie.
I'll tell you a little bit about them for those of our viewers who are watching and will be watching soon. They're kind of like Lori and I in terms of how they sync together. They've teamed up to bring together their gnosis, their experiences, their stories, and their skills to the table to help raise consciousness. Now, Michelle Thompson, for those of you who are fairly new to the channel, she's a transformationalist, a board-certified advanced clinical hypnotherapist. She is CBT therapist and transformational life coach, spiritual alchemist. Helps others who suffer from anxiety and depression and have blocks to success. She helps them find purpose and meaning and happiness in their lives She certainly helped me do that. She's also an online instructor and guide to becoming a master manifester. And as a speaker and author, she has inspired many to create a new life with inspiration and passion. Now, Carrie teaches astronomy and physics to undergraduates. She has an educational background in BS and MS and a PhD. It says on the website, her curiosity about the universe has led her down many pathways, including the mystical and esoteric. She hopes that by being more open about her own spirituality, others will feel more comfortable with embracing a magical lifestyle for greater happiness and a more meaningful life. So welcome, ladies, and congratulations on your new podcast. You just started test driving it at the end of November, and you've created a YouTube channel. You're on Instagram. You're on Facebook, and you have that podcast station. All of this is in our YouTube description, folks, so you can go out there, look at the detailed description, and click on these links, and it'll take you to all of their locations where you can find them. And we'll just bounce it back over to Michelle. And Michelle, why don't you give us a sort of a brief overview on what you're doing with this podcast and why you created it? And we all know what you do, and some of us are your customers. So what are you doing? It's a new approach for you, the whole spiritual side, getting into the spiritual aspects.
So Carrie and I are part of an esoteric hermetic order called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And she and I have been study buddies. and
that's kind.
Yeah. And so Carrie is like, she's like my idol. Like I immediately, the second I met her, I was just like,
oh own God. It, Carrie, own it.
Yeah, I just fell in love with her immediately, and we just connected so easily. And we always just had really good conversations. And one day when we were studying, I just said, we should start a podcast. And she's like, yes. and so we did. And literally like within a week, we already had the website developed, and we were already out, all the social media was developed, and we just started doing it. And
I gotta say, 2 years ago, when you were first starting with Limitless You, and you were figuring out Facebook and YouTube, and you've come a long way. Yeah. You have come a super long way. Now you're a
girl. I know. Pro. I didn't know anything about social media. Now I'm like the master of it. It's like, boom, boom,
That's great.
Yeah. Had to learn it. Yeah. You're never too old. I'm 56 years old, and it took me a minute to figure it out. But hey,
welcome to the over 50 club.
Yeah. So so we got. We started doing this, and I don't know, like our connection, it's just so amazing. We have beautiful conversations. And when we usually produce at least one a week, typically. When we first started, we were pumping out 2, 3, 4, 5, just trying to get a bunch out there, just so that we'd have, quite a bit for people to not just go and see one, So now we're at like 14 episodes so far, and and our followers have been growing really quickly. It's been great. We've heard nothing but good things about our podcast. I look at the analytics, and it's really good. The people that are I get comments on Facebook all the time. People messaging me privately, making comments about it, and, or even asking questions. So it's been really good. I did develop a website to where you can actually go to the website and make comments if you're interested in like asking questions or making comments about any of it. Now that right there is a link tree that you can get off of. Did you pull that up off of Facebook or?
I just link tree is what I've got up here.
Yeah.
So, the link to all your
right.
Yeah. So you can find the link tree off of Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook.
And it's in our description for you folks as well. Yeah. So go to the description. You'll find all this information here for you.
And
right
then
at your fingertips.
the website is called raisingyourconsciousness.com.
All right, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you have a natural synergy between you. We really enjoyed that one you did on twin flame relationships and a couple of your others. And I like your easy flow, your organic flow of your conversation, because you're not on video. It's just your voices, but you're having this conversation. Like, are you in the same room? Or are you
No,
in different locations?
we actually record on StreamYard.
Oh,
wow.
wonderful.
Okay.
And I just download. So we're actually seeing each other. And
that's why it's so.
She does the video. She does the audio
voice
separate, so you can download either or both. Yeah, that's smart.
You download the audio.
Yeah,
I just found like through several different applications that the sound wasn't equal, but when I did it on StreamYard, I could keep the sound, equal. It worked out really well.
Yeah. Well, it's got really good sound quality. I've listened to a couple of them and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I just put my earbuds in and I just kind of did my thing around the house and I was like, ooh, I like that. And oh, that's interesting. So yeah, definitely check it out, everybody. It's worth the time and energy that they put into the podcast. So
I noticed about. Go ahead, Michelle.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I noticed last year when you asked us to help you pull together all these different show YouTube channel posts to try to pull off a worldwide meditation for raising consciousness. And then you came on with some other programs. Your focus, because you deal with the secular and non-secular world, you deal with people who don't have anything to do with spirituality and some who do. So you've been very focused on personal and professional development, coaching, and expansion that way. What was the turning point for you? What was the click with you and Carrie when you finally said, let's now take what we've applied in this area and focus it on raising consciousness? What was that?
So I'm going to tell you what happened with me, and then I'll let Carrie talk about what happened with her. Okay. But so with our education that we're going through, the spiritual education, you're literally going through each element. Okay, so we did neophyte, then we did earth, then we did air. When we got into air, then we did the theorisis. When we got into theorisis, it was like a lot started changing for us because you're going through this whole alchemical change, when you move into a different element.
Yeah. Your frequency changes.
Yeah. And
your body adjusts to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Spirit has been telling me for a long time that I needed to move into the spiritual space. And I didn't want to do it because I was afraid of being judged. So I didn't mind like jumping on a program like this where everybody was like this, and that was okay. But in the general sense, all my clients were like hardcore Christians or, traditional Protestant, and there wasn't, I didn't have very many people that I worked with and that were that way. So I was afraid of losing clients or losing people having faith in me or feeling like I was a witch or thinking I was into black magic and cutting up babies and drinking their blood, the whole thing.
And maybe my plushie at times.
You don't do any of
that? So I was really afraid of that. People thinking I was a Luciferian or something like that, And I was real like scared of, so like anytime that stuff with spiritual would come up, as long as I was in a group of people that were spiritual, I was good. But
you were supported.
Right. But Spirit kept on pushing me in this direction. It literally just constantly. And then when we got into theorisis, the energy was so, you think so much, you get very creative and Shiva and I were always constantly talking about all these things all the time. getting real, and then and all these ideas were always popping in my head all the time. And then finally I said, let's do this. I feel like I'm being pushed. I feel like my spirit guides and spirit is just pushing me to go this direction. And I said, it's time to get out of the closet. And she said something similar.
Spiritual closet.
Yeah. So I decided I was gonna be fearless, step out of the closet.
That's right, because you're in a Leo.
And be my authentic self, which is extremely spiritual. Yep. And that's my story. So, Carrie, your turn to talk, sweetheart.
Well, I feel like it was total serendipity that Michelle and I landed in the same order around the same time. So we've been moving, and moving through the ranks and studying together from the very beginning. And I know Michelle says that she admires me, but I always admired Michelle because of all the questions she asked, never afraid to ask questions, and always thinking of things that got me thinking about other things. And so we sort of developed this friendship, and then realized too, we have a lot in common. Michelle talking about working with secular clients and, maybe more hardcore Christian clients that may not understand what it means to follow a more spiritual pathway or a more mystical pathway. And I think we both felt very vulnerable, like being more open about talking about different pathways to finding meaning in your life and trying to find your greater purpose. And I'm still feeling vulnerable about it. It's still a little scary because the people I work with, this is like a totally separate world for them.
Academia.
Yeah, and in many ways, it's not. Most people do have some religion, right? Whether it's, Christianity or Judaism, there's not that much different about it. We're all on this path for greater meaning, greater happiness, to reach our higher purpose. And I've just found that this path has worked best for me. At my heart, I'm an empiricist, and this is a method that has given me results to make my own life better and the lives of people around me better. And so I'm just sort of hoping maybe by sharing a little bit of this with the world, like others can find the same sort of happiness and meaning that I'm beginning to find.
We understand that completely.
Are you, since you teach undergraduates and you're from a campus setting, do you find that the younger folks out there are more in tune now to this? Do you hear them talking about it
more open for sure. Like I do find that the younger generation, well, first of all, let me say they give me a lot of hope because I see a group of young people who are full of compassion. My students are just kind people, respectful and loving. And I think what's maybe changed since I was a young sprout is that they have a more open approach, I think, to different religions, different paths. I teach at a very not only ethnically diverse campus, but one that is also has folks from all different cultures and religions, and everybody just kind of like mingles and shares. So I have a lot of optimism and hope that, humanity is progressing in this area.
It is progressing. Absolutely. It's progressing. As we progress, others progress with us. So knowing that you two are doing this podcast together, that's really bringing that energy together and kind of coalescing all those energies. And not only is it suiting your purposes and what your growth, what you're coming to understand within your own growth, but it helps with others who watch and listen because they're the ones that have the same types of questions that you had. And just by your conversations, you're able to answer those questions and give them some insight into what's going on with them. This isn't an easy process, and it is a very personal process, but it's so good to see. So I'm just really excited for the both of you.
Well, actually, there's many different hardcore scientists that were into the esoteric. Like, for example, Sir Isaac Newton.
Oh yeah.
Vast majority of his writings were about alchemy.
Mhm.
Tesla.
Or I guess I don't. Tesla. Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess I need not mention Jack Parsons. He was a rocket scientist, and he was involved with the Golden Dawn. Or I guess it goes hand in hand.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, at one time, magic was science. They were they were intertwined, right?
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
Yeah.
sometimes think that the complete
Nostradamus.
unraveling hasn't served us as well. There was a time for them maybe to be separate, but I think the embracing ideas that are different, I think, can help with all fields, including science.
Mhm.
Agreed. Totally
Yeah,
agree with
well,
that.
I think that magic is just undiscovered science.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I
Yeah, that's
mean,
brilliant.
it really
Mhm.
when you
Yeah, actually, yeah.
when you yeah, I mean, if you really seriously think about it, and I've had multiple conversations with Carrie about this, you know, about how energy works, from a physics perspective, from a quantum perspective. I've said, explain to me how quantum science works. Explain to me about entanglement. Explain to me about and I've had these conversations. It's like when she explains these scientific perspectives, it's like, oh, that explains magic to me, and
Mhm.
so a lot of times I feel like that it's a lot of it's technique. It's about going through like ceremonial ritual practices where you're prescribing a specific method that you use to get a specific result. And
Mhm.
and so and these things are to elevate our consciousness, to make our to help us reach our purpose here, to help us connect with our higher self. Did I leave anything out, Carrie? What else?
No, and for me, I feel that the science and spirituality are definitely combined, and for me at least, like that feeling. Carl Sagan called it the feeling of the numinous that you get when you have that sense of awe at the universe. And I have that sense of awe when I look at the night sky, when I see the table of isotopes. But I also have experienced that sense of awe, like feeling the presence of God. And to me, it's been meaningful, and it's something that I'm not used to talking about because as a scientist I'm not supposed to, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Well, even
go ahead,
even though
Delroy.
a lot of governments, have done a lot of research on what you'd call black magic or extrasensory perception, not just your own government, but also if you read books like Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain, a lot of Eastern European governments were really big on exploring the power of pyramids, various esoteric shapes, symbols, and stuff like that, sigils, for want of a better word.
Right.
So.
Well, I have two really close friends that did remote viewing for the government. Or one
Mhm.
of them does. One of them actually
Mhm.
passed away, but both of them did remote viewing for. I mean, it's real stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh yeah.
yes. If they're using
Heck
it,
yeah.
there's something to it.
Yeah.
Now, we were actually, Carrie and I were in a class the other day, and one of our proctors just randomly brought up that he took a course on telekinesis.
Hmm.
And it's not really part of our program, but it is something that we're all interested in. So all of a sudden he shows
Fascinating.
the spoon that was bent and he starts talking about it. And I mean,
Yeah.
it was like somebody lit a fire inside of me. I was like, I have to learn.
Michelle was on it, like suddenly like zoomed in. Okay, you gotta teach us this.
I love that.
I was like, I mean, immediately as soon as the class was over, I'm messaging him going, okay, where'd you take this class? What is it? I need
Hmm.
to learn this.
Give me more.
We have a really good support system through our proctors. They're highly educated. Most of them been in it like 20 plus years, and
Wow.
yeah, we're learning things that are, yeah, sometimes it's like beyond comprehension,
Mm-hmm.
But for us, the two of us, our goal was to put information out that is very clear on how to do certain things that is going to help people so that they can better themselves, because there's a lot of information that people just say, I was talking to my spirit guides or whatever, and I know this. And I used to be one of those people, okay? But this is coming from these are ancient teachings, and there's a lot of information that we try to put out there to help people to be able to better themselves so that they can, serve their life better, reach their purpose, be happier. Even just simple things like even, shifting how you think can make a difference in how you live your life or bettering your relationship.
Yeah, I think the key here is control. To keep, because every single one of us has these superpowers of the human bio mind to various degrees. It's just that, and we do manifest things, and sometimes these are highly anomalous incidents that will happen, and it's like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
And I'd like to be able to control that.
Yeah.
Because I have manifested things, and I've talked about them on this show a couple of times, and I always wonder, okay, I know I did that. I just don't know how I did that.
Well, you just got lucky. So what you need to do is learn a specific technique that works. And if you want to talk to me, Dolliver, like privately, I can give you some very specific instructions on how to make it happen, and know exactly what to do, not just a coincidence,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sounds interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Truth Seeker made a comment. Belief in God is okay as long as people don't get carried away with the "my God is the only God" aspect of many religions. I absolutely agree with that.
My way is the
Well
highway.
said, Truth Seeker.
Mhm.
No offense to anyone who is religious. That's all good.
There's I don't know if all of you have seen it yet in chat, or the viewers that are watching now. Lori just released another one of our spirit messages from the collective that she gets downloads from, and it was about how to recognize or how to realize that you've reached.
How do we know we're enlightened?
How do we know we're enlightened spiritually? And I always went off of the medieval term, or the Victorian period, where they brought the word enlightenment into being during the French Revolution. And it meant, on a political, social, economic level, that you were a free thinker, that you would be able to use your own mind to figure things out and not rely on the opinions and perspectives of everybody else, but to make your own mind up, do your own research, find out what's going on, question, think, and tap into your own inner thoughts. And that was the age of enlightenment. It became a more spiritual aspect to it later, after that, developed around that concept, and people started becoming spiritually enlightened. So I thought it would be interesting tonight to follow up on that video that Lori did with these two, because their podcast is all about helping to raise consciousness, and raising of consciousness is a pathway to enlightenment. So let's start with Michelle. How would you define enlightenment? How do you define enlightenment, and do you think you've reached enlightenment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that I think enlightenment has many levels. It's like an endless staircase, it just keeps on going. And the more that I learn, the more I realize there's a lot more to learn. And there was a point in my life where I was just like, this can't be it. There's got to be more, And but as far as, I believe that enlightenment is kind of like what you said. It's to acknowledge that in a possibility, be open to learn more. Don't be set in this is the way, because then you become narrow-minded and you can't grow from there. But as long as you are open to learn more, then you continue to become even more enlightened. Like I said, I thought that there was a point where I really had reached what I thought was sort of like a peak, and I couldn't find anywhere anything on the internet, YouTube, anything. Nothing. Nobody was teaching anymore. I had kind of capped it out, and I was like, this can't be it. And I felt like at that point, it was like, gosh, I feel stuck now. And I've always been a seeker, so I wanted to find more. And that's, when I started really, really looking hard, that's when I ended up finding this. But it was, but I did go into the order kind of pretentious. I did, and I'm not anymore.
Yeah, that'll smack you right out of your chair.
Oh yeah, when I started seeing these people who knew a lot more than me, it was like, I can do this, and I can do
that. Yeah. I'm still blown away by stuff. But we have a couple people here like Lucky Stone and Lori. They're both like, what's next? Lori and I will go through a series of shared lucid dreams. We'll go through past life regressions, and Lori's like, now what? And I'm like, I'm still absorbing this stuff, and my mind is like, give me more. And now you want to like more? More?
Yeah. And and I think being open-minded is like what I said, is it's kind of like, I had this opinion that past life information is sort of cool and fun, but what does this have to do with this lifetime?
Ooh, so much.
Right. Well,
I
discovered that when I started going through some of this alchemy that was like causing things to bring up, and I didn't know where it was coming from. And one of my guides said, well, let's go look at that. And boom, I had this flash of this past life experience, and it hit me hard. And I was like, oh my God, that's why I feel this way. And then I was like, texting all the proctors going, how do you get over being burned at the stake? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, or get your head shot. Yeah, or poison.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this fear of judgment that somebody's going to put on you. And it carried over into keeping me, and delaying this process of going into the spiritual path. That past life was doing that to me. And so for me, being open to learning and open to a different perspective and open to looking at things differently, it helped me be able to make that shift within myself. So I was able to start pursuing something.
Sure. That past life of yours was fear of judgment, which carries over into this lifetime and explains a lot about some of the things you've been experiencing with it.
It does.
Carrie, what about you? How, you're coming from the science and academic side of it. And it's really tough to get a group of scientists. Well, nowadays it's getting easier. It's just people are becoming more aware. But in that environment, it's very difficult to get the scientific community to acknowledge anything as being not scientific, but being a pseudoscience. How do you define enlightenment?
That's a very
great point.
Yeah, well, I definitely am not enlightened, but I want to really agree with Michelle that like the path to enlightenment is learning, and it's not just we're learning a lot of different things as we move through our studies, but a lot of it is like learning about yourself. And I think some of like the tools that are given to us, as mystics or priestesses or whatever you want to call us, are meant to help us know ourselves.
That's right.
Right. And, Michelle talking about her experiences that she's felt from past lives is a way for her to reflect on herself, right? And learn about ourselves in this life. So I think it's a combination of just a continued study of the universe around us, and then, you know, the universe within us. So both the macrocosm and the microcosm,
Right.
is how we progressed. In my sort of naive look at this.
I think that mainstream science implicitly acknowledges the existence of anomalous cognition and anomalous effects just by the mere existence of the fact that the double-blind experiment is standard scientific protocol. Because, okay, if the intentions or knowledge of the experimenters had no effect on it, you wouldn't need to do a double-blind experiment.
Wow. Sorry, Michelle, you were going to make a comment?
Carrie is a little bit modest, okay? She is definitely enlightened.
I saw that coming.
Okay?
Yeah. We did too.
She's very modest, and you know, she's extremely knowledgeable about the spiritual stuff, and she's very, very intelligent, and she's she practices. She's not just an academic magician, she's a practical magician. You know, like she literally practices. And
well, it's helpful to have the support of, you know, magical friends like Michelle to help with the practice, because I think it would be really easy for me to get on a path of just being an academic magician, and like, you know, because and that's what I was when I first started. I was just reading books by, you know, former Golden Dawn leaders and, you know, mystics from, you know, the 1800s, and then not doing as much, just kind of learning and taking in all this knowledge. And it took some time for me to get into the rhythm of actually using the practice. And that's when I started to kind of see, you know, transformation in myself. You know, people around me noticed that I'm doing, you know, you just seem more content. People have told me.
And less triggered. Less triggered.
Wow. I think of enlightenment as that statue of the thinking man.
Oh, that's a good example. That's a good, because you're like thinking and processing things.
Thinking and processing your whole journey while you're here. As Lucky was just saying, enlightenment is not a destination; it's a journey. It's never done.
It's never done. That's what I said. It's like a ladder. You just keep on going.
Exactly. You know? A lot of people will say you never truly reach enlightenment until
I don't. You know,
you shed your human body and move on to another form.
So I don't know that I agree with that. I think that if you're open to learn, then you're enlightened. You know, but if you're closed-minded,
you're not an enlightened. Yes.
Yeah, like if you're just too closed-minded and fixed, you know, mindset, then you're not enlightened. Enlightened is sort of like a light bulb that goes off. And you start to be aware of the possibilities. To me, that's kind of like what it means. So,
well, you'll hear people, Michelle, I agree with you. What you'll hear is people saying things like, and no offense to anybody if you do this, but there are people who say, I have my gnosis, I've had my experiences, this is what I know what I know, this is my truth, and that's all there is. And it's like, okay, and I'm enlightened because I know my truth. I'm enlightened because I know my truth.
But that's kind of a fixed mindset.
Not open to new concepts and ideas that actually allow your brain to expand and in new situations and
to question.
Yeah, exactly. To be curious.
You might think you might think you have the right idea or the right opinion simply because you know a lot of facts about a situation, but you can never know all the facts. And the more facts you find out,
you can only share what you know.
So one could perceive enlightenment to be open-mindedness as opposed to closed-mindedness.
That's the way I see it.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that. I would concur.
And that's what expansion is. Because if you're stuck in neutral, you're not going forward, you're not going backwards, you're not going sideways, you're stuck in neutral.
Yeah, in other words,
enlightenment. I just used the word stuck, and enlightenment
is
that literally. That's
I like
Enlightenment
this.
can never be an ism.
Yeah. Amy says,
Yeah,
I
Amy.
call them flashes of genius. You're a genius, Amy. I love that.
I love it.
Wonderful. Thanks
That's
for the
good.
flash.
That's cool.
I had I don't you guys have heard me talk about the Dallas master that I had at one time. And
Yes.
he passed away this year.
Hmm.
I think at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
And it was but I worked with him for 3 years, and one of the things that I said to him was, what is it going to take? What do I need to do to become enlightened? And he sighed for a second. He goes, why do we have to go through this in every single lifetime? You ask me the same question.
Ooh,
And
ooh, that's brilliant.
yeah, and he said, you're already enlightened, Michelle.
Yeah.
And and I was like, what? And that's when he explained to me, it's the pursuit, it's the journey. As long as you're in the car driving, when you just unpack your stuff and park on the side of the road and say, this is it,
Yeah.
and you're kind of shutting down all the possibilities of growth.
Self-imposed barriers in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always love it when I hear people say, I've done this and I've done this and I can do this and I've done that.
Yeah. Been there,
Yeah.
seen it all, done it all.
I'm this, I'm spiritual, I
Yeah,
do this. And I'm
when
like,
you show people how to do telekinesis, which I think is one of the easiest things to do, that they're shocked. And I think one of the easiest forms of telekinesis that you can show to people and have them do it themselves is by finger manipulating clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
Literally anybody can do that. And when you
okay,
show
you and
somebody
I
how
are
to
going to
do
have
that,
a conversation later, okay?
yeah,
I want to learn this telekinesis stuff.
Mm-hmm. You want to
Cool.
bend your mind like a pretzel? Talk
Yeah.
to Dalibor.
Actually, Michelle, you can look at a cloud formation and you can see different patterns in that formation. And your thoughts take you to, okay, that is a spaceship, or that is a form of alien, or that's a cartoon character, or that's
yeah,
another kind of
pareidolia.
entity.
Yeah, periodolia. I was just gonna say that.
Periodolia.
Mhm.
But separate from periodolia, you might actually think it's something quite real, like a spaceship, and it could be. They're out there. We know that. But if I can take my fingers and go, I don't want to see that anymore, all of a sudden the clouds just disperse and I don't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out I was creating those thoughts, and I was also projecting them to a friend in Florida. Remember Brian Lunsford?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he and I were experimenting, and he'd go out front and see if you see this, and he was just, and he would describe to me what he was seeing, and I would go out front and look south towards Florida, and I would look up in the sky and see what he was seeing and take a picture of it. And then we would look at the pictures, and they're almost the same image.
Oh, wow.
So it took me a while to figure out that I could make that image go away, too. I could simply just go, I don't want to...
Or the other interesting Brian Lunsford story. The other interesting Brian Lunsford story I have is I was showing him some photos that I took when I was looking for a house, and he said, "Hey, did you see this photo? You took a picture of a UFO in this." I'm like, "Wow, I didn't see it." So he blew it up, he contrasted it, he added some color, and he sent it back to me, and he's like, "There it is, play to stay." Sure, it's like a classical UFO. Like, I didn't see that. I didn't see it when I took it. I didn't see it when I downloaded the photos to my computer. I didn't see any of that. But he just picked it up, and
but the point is, and yes, that happened with him and Al and other people too.
Oh, yeah.
But Michelle, there was no meditation involved. There was no burning of sage ahead of time. There was no beating of the drums or ringing of the bells or banging of the gongs. There was no rituals.
Yeah, no ceremony.
There was no ceremony. There was no verbal affirmation. It was just thought transference between two people who are powerful creators, a receiver and a transmitter. And we found out we could receive and transmit with one another. I could remote view objects in his garage with a 90% accuracy. And I've never been to his home.
Impressive.
So, because we connected.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of connection Lori and I will have in a lucid dream or a shared dream or a past life memory if we've got that connection. And so these things happen through our thoughts without any ritual or magic or incantations or spells or anything. It just comes naturally. And does that mean we're enlightened? No, it means we've rediscovered a skill set that we've probably all had since the beginning of time when we first started incarnating together on this planet.
In the etheric realms, you're connected all the time.
All the time.
You just have to remember.
Right. Well, I've kind of figured that telekinesis has probably got to do with something. I've just never done it before, and I really haven't tried either. So I have to at least kind of put that out there. But to me, it seems like it would be very similar to like manifesting, and I'm really good at that. It's sort of like putting something out there. But I can take a pendulum and I can literally say, move forward, move back, swing around in a circle. And it literally, I'll say, make the circle bigger. It does. And I think that is the type of telekinesis, you know? So and I've seen people who just will take the exact same pendulum and they can't get it to move. And they're holding it the same way and everything. But I can sit here and go, okay, stop. It stops.
Yes.
You know?
You can control it.
Yeah, I can control but I thought maybe, if I could like learn how to like move objects, that would be like really cool.
Well, clearly there's different systems of doing that, because if you watch a video of Nina Kulagina, I'm sure you've seen them, but she obviously expends a lot of like physical energy that she's transforming into a different type of energy to do what she does. And she's done incredible things, but there's people that don't expend any physical energy, like Ingo Swann back when he was still alive, who could influence a magnetometer that was buried under like 13 meters of concrete, deep inside the Earth's crust, and just think about it, and uses remote viewing skills to influence that.
Right.
So
now, see, I can't take this thermos and just focus on the straw and bend the straw. But if I touch the straw and I don't give it any force, and I just think that I can bend the straw, I can feel the straw moving right now. I'm not pulling it. See, it's bending because I'm giving the thought to bend, but I have to be in physical contact. So I haven't learned how to project my energy to the point where I can physically do anything in this reality, and I can do anything I want in the dream world.
It's interesting.
Lori brings a blender to the beach. In the dream world, she brings a blender to the beach. I'm like, where's she plugged it in? How's she?
Don't need no plugs.
You don't need a plug, Teresa. She makes a helicopter land out front of my house. And what? So
I tell you, I can
reality.
But I've gotten
mind blowing
telepathic thing down, and I practice it with my dogs all the time.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of fun. I was sitting on the stairs, and the dogs were on the sofa in the living room, so they couldn't see me. And I just sat there, and I just kept on saying, "Chief, do you want to go for a walk?" In my mind, and I kept on, and I visualized it. And he comes running in there, and he goes and he nudges the leash. And I go, "You're so smart."
The animals do pick up your thoughts. They do. I know they do. I've had several dogs that were like that, and I had a dog for almost 17 years, and I could say that in my mind. You want to go bye-bye? And he'd look at me. Yep. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Same here. I can confirm that. In other words,
I do it all the time with them. All the time, I talk to them in my head. And it's like I literally can. I know what they're trying to say to me, and just the whole thing. It's fun. I find that everything and anything spiritual, anything mystical exciting.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Absolutely,
Mhm.
it is. Yeah.
Delaware, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh no, no, I was just gonna, present a little anecdote, because I've always had like rabbits or guinea pigs, and once a day I would always let my rabbit out, and when he's outside, he'll let you come up to him, pet him, whatever. But as soon as he feels that he has to be taken back inside indoors, he'll like run away. But I discovered that just having that thought in my mind, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you go back inside. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he would react exactly the same way. So
Mm-hmm.
Right.
yeah, I can confirm that, and that was also confirmed by Rupert Sheldrake and published in a peer-reviewed scientific paper about
Yeah.
dog telepathy.
Yes.
Well, I
Mhm.
think
Yep.
they
Yeah,
also get used to your patterns because I have it with my cat too, and
this was
both the
controlled
cat
for.
and the dog, and
Mhm.
it's like they get used to. There's a combination of getting into your frequency. I think they do,
Mm-hmm.
but they also are really good at learning patterns.
Oh
That's why you
yeah,
can train them to do
definitely.
tricks. So if I reach down and grab my tennis shoe,
Mhm.
Ruby's like, "We're going for a walk,"
Yeah,
and she'll go get
exactly.
her leash. She'll go get her
Yeah,
leash. And I'll
yeah.
say, I was just putting my tennis shoe on. I'm gonna go cut the grass. Chill, you know. And the
Mhm.
cat will do the same thing. The cat will come into me and sit by my bed and look up at me and stare at me with these big brown discs, like she's mesmerizing me. I'm like, I know you want food. That's her look when she wants food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we get used to patterns too. But
Mhm.
it,
Mm-hmm.
but when you're just laying there in bed and you're not even looking at your dog and you're thinking, what time is it? You look at the clock and you go, oh boy, she probably has to pee. I need to get up and let the dog out. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes over to the side of the bed and jumps up on the side of the bed and starts licking me. So
Animals
she knows I
communicate
was
with
thinking
each
about
Yeah,
her.
it's like that kind of stuff happens all the time, and so it's kind of fun to practice telepathy with your animals because But
Mm-hmm.
I've always had like with my sister, she and I've always had a really strong telepathic connection.
Mm-hmm.
So to the point to where she'll say, well, it's about time you called me because I've been calling you. And I go, well, my phone hasn't rang. And she goes, Michelle, you know what I'm talking about. And I go, well, I'm busy. You can pick up the phone. You don't have to like mentally send me messages.
Mhm.
I said, how am I supposed to be receiving when I'm talking all day?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny.
yeah.
But yeah, it's fun.
I
But
have that with other people where I just think of them and they pop up on Skype.
yeah,
Mm.
it
Yeah,
happens all
Mm-hmm.
the time.
regularly.
Yeah.
But
Well,
go, go ahead.
no, finish your thought.
No, I
Yeah.
was just going to kind of go back to part of the reason that we're here though is to talk about anything magical, and that's kind of basically what our podcast is.
Hmm.
We decided that we wanted to give back, and we put a lot of energy into this. It takes time. There's editing, there's writing, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of there's a lot of
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into all of this, because it has to go on different platforms and stuff. And there's lots of conversations and the recording, everything that goes into all of this. And we're doing it because we're trying to serve. And that's the bottom line, is that we're putting that energy out to serve people because there needs to be some good quality stuff out there to help people,
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And both
Mhm.
Carrie is probably one of the most genuine, kindest people I've ever met. I mean, she's just so beautiful. I mean, she's just this loving, kind, like she's like this bouquet of flowers that gets kind of like dumped on you. It's
Hmm.
just like flowers.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's
She's a
just
little
great.
shy because she's never done the video thing before, but she's
Drink it up, Carrie. Drink it up.
yeah.
Oh, I'm like, I can tell I'm blushing. Michelle, you're too nice. You're just too.
It's all true though. It's all true. I don't make up shit.
No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't.
No.
That's
No,
awesome.
if I didn't have anything good to say about you, I'd just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. I love that.
Well,
I
there's
think
a lot you two could do to practice together.
Mhm.
Set your intent
Mhm.
for the shared lucid dreams together.
Mhm.
You could
Yeah.
set the intent. Lori and I will pick a location.
Mhm.
We'll pick the season. We'll pick whether it's past, present, or future. You can set the variables.
We
Agree
went
to
to
a certain
Greece
amount of things.
recently. We actually went
Yeah.
to Greece. It was just a beautiful time.
Santorini. We went to
Yeah, it was
Santorini,
absolutely gorgeous.
and you can wake
Mhm.
each other up during that dream, or you could just wait until the morning and then just exchange what you picked up.
How
there.
long did it take you guys to like master that together, where you were like in sync to be able to do it together?
It pretty
Mm.
much just happened. Like
Really?
we've been doing it for a whole year now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
About a
like the
year.
first time you decided to do it, it just worked?
It just happened. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then what we did is the morning after we would talk about it, and she would tell me everything that she remembered. I would tell her what I remembered, and then it just coalesced, and it was like, oh, this realization of, oh my God,
Well, we
we're
have
actually
we have,
energetically there doing these
Yeah.
things.
we have the ability to finish each other's thoughts and sentences.
Mhm.
So she'll say, "Well, do you remember when we were on the beach?" And I said, "And we picked up." She goes, "The red shell." You know, it's like
Yeah.
there. It's like we will be typing in text message, okay, or doing a voiceover text. We're not live chatting. We're doing text over. So as I'm leaving the message about
Mhm.
the horse that I rode, she's leaving a message about the horses that we rode,
Mm.
and we play them. And it's like I just said that. Why
Yeah.
are we bothering to communicate at all? We can
I
just
just
do this
do it
telepathically.
telepathically.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
you go in a dream state. Yeah.
But the exciting part of it is to be able to have the exchange, so we can see. Now there are some
To verify
some
between the two
situations
of
there are
you.
slight differences. Like she'll have a little bit more detail about something than I will, but for the most part, about 90% of it, and I'm not
Mhm.
kidding, is spot on.
Mhm.
Wow,
There's
that's
there
kind of
might be
cool.
some minor,
Mhm.
just some very minor differences of things.
Wow, Teresa, we've never really shared that with anybody, have we?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, we have. We
I think
mentioned it.
you've,
No, I
when we
yeah,
mean,
you
were-
mentioned it.
have we?
Yeah.
Like not
Oh,
to
yeah.
that degree, though.
Yeah, I mean, see,
I
we
feel a
well,
little
maybe
it
not.
was that episode
exposed.
that we did on dream
You're coming
Yeah,
synchronicity.
out
we've
of the
talked about it
closet,
before.
Lori.
We've talked about the details, how we don't get it quite right 100%
Yeah.
in the dream
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
But we did have a show where we talked about how we manifested a jet plane and how the limousine.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
went to
yeah.
Phantom of the Opera. We told that story. about how
Yeah,
we
yeah.
went to
Mhm.
That's
Phantom of the
true.
Opera.
That's
We
true.
went back in time to see
Mhm.
the opening of Phantom of the Opera
Yeah, it was
in New
awesome.
York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Carrie, we're gonna have to. We're getting some ideas of things we're gonna have to do together.
There you go.
Give
There
it a
you go.
shot. Yep.
Once you start playing with that connectivity and
Mhm.
having those experiences, it opens you up to other types of things. You could do a dream within a dream,
Mm.
or you can astral travel from that experience during that lucid dream. And I was talking to Karen about that a couple weeks ago. where
Yeah,
she
it's
told me
just
some stories.
basically setting the intent before you go to bed, where you're going to go, where you're going to meet up.
Yeah.
It's good to have, a few pictures of something. Like we went to Brazil one time. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
that
On
was
the
pretty
beach.
cool.
Oh my God. And
Yeah.
we enjoyed the food. We did everything you would normally do. We just
Mhm.
didn't have the cost, the time it takes to get there, or any of that stuff. And it was kind of an amazing experience.
Mhm.
And the thing is in a
Mhm.
lucid dream, you can create what you want. So we went
Exactly.
to Jamaica. We went to Ocho Rio, Jamaica.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's
amazing.
We were climbing the falls.
Mhm.
And there was a store where you could buy T-shirts and hats. And the next thing I know, Lori shows up in the dream wearing this Jamaican hat and spiffy looking shirt. And I'm like, what the hell? How did you just go from wearing what you were wearing 5 seconds ago to that? She's a
Because
master
anything's
manifester.
possible in your
So
dreams.
Yeah,
she's
anything's
really
possible.
much more so
Yeah.
than I am. She can actually, and I'll see it in the dream, and I'll say to her the next day, that hat,
Was
and
my
we
shirt
talk
too
about
loud?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I can't do. I can't control my dreams. I've never lucid dreamed, so to speak,
Yeah.
but I have had identical dreams as other people
Yeah.
have had, people that are close to me. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's
Well, I
I
tell you,
used to
it's
do.
practice.
I used to do
Practice
that with
means
my
everything.
sister.
But, mhm.
I
Yeah.
used to
Oh,
do
yeah?
that with my sister, and she's the only person I've been able to do it with. And so now I'm excited. You're giving me something else that Carrie and I are going to have to try.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one
Wait
one
till
of
it happens. You'll
yeah, one of
Yeah.
be
these
blown away.
one of these people that I did it with was a fellow Soul Tribe member,
Mhm.
and the other person was a girlfriend of mine.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, someone I was intimate with versus someone I was never intimate with.
You ever
You know?
tried to have sex in the astral plane?
No,
Ooh.
never. No, never. No.
Just curious.
Although
Boy,
it
she's
should be
getting
funny,
personal
interesting.
Michelle.
on you, Dalibor.
Oh, I did have a series of dreams like that when I bought that house that time that was haunted by the spirit of
Yeah.
that doctor lady, where she was
Oh,
she was
yes.
she was crawling over me while I was sleeping in bed naked. This old
Ooh.
lady. Yeah, yeah, it was creepy. So it was almost like sexual assault in a dream,
Ooh.
and it happened to me like twice.
Wow.
Yeah, along with all
Yeah.
these other anomalous things that were going on in that
You
house.
got ghost raped.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it was
Incubus,
see, this
succubus
was a
situation.
it was a bizarre house because the lady that had owned it, whose son had sold it to me, she died in that apartment, and when she died of natural causes, she
Mhm.
was largely eaten by her own cats, and she had
Mm.
lots of cats.
Mm.
And she also
Yeah.
kept some of their brains in formaldehyde because she was a doctor.
Mm.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, that's why there was like all this stuff going around.
Yeah, you can,
Yeah.
Michelle, I would have no doubt that you would be fully capable of having that type of physical. In a lucid dream, you can see, touch, smell, hear, feel everything. You can create
Yeah,
whatever you
definitely.
want.
I mean, Carrie
You
and I
can
are
make
both pretty good at like astral travel, but I
Mhm.
want to address that question right there, Mary Wynn's question.
You got it. Go for it, Michelle.
So I heard
Go
that
for it.
astral travel isn't a good idea because there's a lot of crap there. What do you say?
You could say the same thing about the internet. It's the
Yeah,
same
really,
thing.
Mary.
You just steer clear of the crap.
Astral travel is
So,
another thing, just as you set your intent, right, Michelle?
Right.
well, I can tell you what the old Michelle said,
Okay.
and I can tell you what the new Michelle
Okay.
says.
Let's
All
hear.
right.
So, because of our teachings and everything that we've learned, my idea behind this is slightly different. Okay. I go in protected. So there's rituals that I do prior to that.
Okay.
So that
Protection's
is
always good.
that starts the protection around
Okay.
me. And then but that doesn't, just because you do that doesn't mean that people can't slip in here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So, we also have protection that we carry with us when we go into those astral planes, and
Mhm.
we can do something like, for instance, throw a pentagram at somebody as an example. To kind of like push them away.
Mm-hmm.
Like that'll kind of knock them out of the space. Or you can use like the banner of the West. There's certain things that you can do to kind of push somebody away.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also vibrate like divine names. You can call in angelic protection, to walk with you, depending on where you're going. But I mean, I've gone to some places that were kind of scary before, because like soul retrievals that I've done for people, I had to go into areas that weren't necessarily like the coolest and the most fun to grab their soul. So
Whoa.
there was things like that I've had to do. So I always walked with, arm in arm with specific angels with me.
Mhm.
And sometimes even like a bodyguard, I've done that before too. So there's, but most of the time I go to the astral plane for different reasons. So like I might be going into a temple, or I might be actually going into a temple to do a ceremony. I might be going into a temple to manifest something, there's like, or actually to have communion with a specific angel. So So when I'm going into these things, I go in protected. So I haven't really had any bad experiences. And if something was questionable, like I saw somebody or something that I was questioning, I just was unsure about it, I would just throw a pentagram at them or
You
something.
know, I have a question, Michelle. It's for you and Carrie.
Okay.
Um, Sometimes to me, since I'm still learning about all this myself, I'm not an expert on anything. I just have a lot of experience and I'm having fun.
Yeah.
There seems to be like a gray area or a very fine line between things that you do when you remote view, but you're letting things come to you. You're not creating. You're receiving images. You're
Mm-hmm.
not creating them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's astro travel where you're leaving your physical body
Mm-hmm.
and here and your mind and thought travels to wherever you want to go. Same thing occurs in a lucid dream because you're
Mm-hmm.
semi-conscious.
It's
And
similar.
they're very similar, and so it's like almost the same skill sets. And no matter what
Mm-hmm.
you practice, you're exercising that muscle, if you
Mm-hmm.
will, to learn the skills. But what I have experienced, was just recent. Lori knows about it, and Karen knows about it. I found myself in two different dimensions at the exact same time,
Mm.
and it was a past life memory of being in Peru as a shaman in the only desert oasis that you can find in Peru. And I didn't know that at the time of the dream. I was trying to understand the dream. But it was lucid because I could move around and I could see myself in a
Mm-hmm.
reflection of myself. So I could change what I was doing in the dream. And I
So you
woke
were
up.
time traveling, basically.
Basically. I woke up half in that dream world and half in my bedroom here at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into the bathroom and I couldn't get out of the dream. So was I, like, am I sleepwalking? What's going on? Because I could pet Ruby, I could touch the furniture. It wasn't sleep paralysis because I didn't have that buzzing in my head. I was fully in control of that dream, but yet what I wasn't in control of was coming out of it back into this reality.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went into the bathroom mirror and looked in the mirror, I saw who I was then. Her complexion was different, a different avatar than the one
You're
that I
Peruvian.
wore in this. I was Peruvian,
She
American
knew her
Peruvian.
name. Mm-hmm.
I knew my name, Rosalita, was it? Rosalita?
Yeah, right.
And I knew my name and I knew what I was doing. I was helping to cross people over in this
You're a
spiritual.
shaman.
It was like a swamp, not a swamp, but like a large pond.
Mm-hmm.
It was an oasis in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
A small town was built around it. It was very spiritual significance, and people who were elderly or who were at the end of their life would come there
Mm-hmm.
to bathe in the waters that would help cross them over. And that's what I was doing, was helping to cross them over. But I could not come out of it. But part of me started to panic a little because I hadn't experienced anything like it. So I contacted Lori.
It blew my mind because it didn't sound like her. I was like,
and I was trying to communicate with her, and she said I was in some kind of, it was a different voice, and I told her what I was seeing, and I'm like,
you're in a state.
I need to come back to my now, and I can't get out of this. And so we worked together to bring me back to this now. But now that I've been through it, I know what I need to do to bring myself back into this now. And so it happened.
So what did you figure out? How did you figure out how to bring yourself back?
Just by not being afraid, number one. First thing you do is shut down the fear. Shut it down. The second thing is realize you were in control there. So you can be in control here. Yeah.
Which ties in with what I was going to say about that question about crap in the astral plane. I would compare that to the internet. And for all the years that I was a Windows user, everybody would tell me, oh, you got to have an antivirus or whatever. I never had an antivirus, and I also never got a virus. The only time in my life I ever did get a virus, I got it from my mom through email.
Right. Right.
You might want to do things like you know, here's a really good suggestion. Somebody gave me something similar to this, and I used it. But you come up with some kind of like talisman or something like that you always carry with you, like a necklace. And then when you're ready to go, you just grab the necklace and say, leaving now, or something like that. And you just grab the necklace. And if you train yourself to know that every time you grab the necklace, you wake up, you know,
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, that's
I was
powerful.
having trouble with when I was doing astral travel, that when I would see something that would excite me, I would pop back. And I would get too emotionally, like the emotions would cause me to get like, I'd be like, oh my God, you know, that's so cool. Yeah.
Did you ever look at your hands? Did you ever look at your hands?
Well,
That's
yeah.
a good one, Dalibor.
So what happened is I had a meeting with Isis, and she gave me a wand, and the wand had this spinning ball, and it had like this silver cage around it. And she said, take the ball and go like this. Every time you start to feel yourself kind of coming back slightly, just start to kind of, you know, she goes, go like this and it'll ground you.
Yeah.
Right. So you using some kind of technique like that is the same thing. It's sort of like taking control of the situation. So like you could take a wand with you and you can go like this and you're going, I'm leaving. Or you can take a necklace and go push the button, I'm leaving, or have a ring and go, okay, I'm leaving now. Just make sure you always take it with you and you reinforce it every time you leave. That's
I got her to ground by telling her to imagine her feet being absorbed into the earth and locking into the earth, and that seemed to pull her out. Finally, she started to sound like herself, and it was a little concerning, but I knew she just had to get to that point where she could just ground herself. Once she did that, she snapped right out of it.
Talk to a psychologist and they'll say it was some type of psychotic episode or a schizophrenic, you know, psychologist will label it as a psychological, and it's like, no, I know and it happened again about a week later, not even a whole week later, where I'd set the intent to go into another dimension. Now that I've been to another dimension while I was half awake, I want to go meet a healthier version of myself. And I did. I went to 1980, 1983, 1985, UK. I was in I was in Wales. And I was Welsh, and I had a cottage on a stream. And I was healthy.
One of the things that you also might do, just as you're practicing, trying to have the controller coming in and out, is set a timer in your head. Like, I'm going to be gone for an hour. I'm going to be gone for 30 minutes. I find it works perfect because exactly on the hour I come back.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good technique.
So take an
I don't know,
object
Carrie,
with
what
you.
do you think? What are some of your suggestions? You astral travel a lot. So like, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, you know, I think we talked about a little bit, one of our earlier podcasts, we talked about lucid dreaming and, you know, astral travel. And one thing that was kind of different between Michelle and I with this is like, I usually don't encounter others. Like I'm usually by myself, and I have not been in too frightening of a situation. I remember the first time I did this, I was enjoying myself. Like I was just like looking around. I was actually like kind of detached from my body and floating in this Egyptian tomb. And when I kind of realized that I was no longer connected to my body, I freaked out and like just totally like snapped back. Like it was panic that first time.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have any practical suggestion. I'm still learning.
Or
Same here.
sometimes, like I would the analogy to that would also be like the ibogaine experience or psychedelic drugs. You know, if any of those images start to become too terrifying, the solution is just to open your eyes. Open your eyes and start focusing on your immediate reality, and all those images go away. At least
Kind of
for
like
me.
waking up after a dream. As soon as you open your eyes, you forget your
Yeah.
dream. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, sort of. Yeah, except
hmm
with
But it
psychedelics,
brings
it's
you
more
back into
immediate.
reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the
I think
psychedelics, that
Karen,
opens up like a lower aspect of the fourth dimension. Definitely. There's
hmm
definitely fourth dimensional aspects of that. Whether it's ayahuasca or ibogaine or LSD or whatever, it's definitely got traits of all of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
our own
interesting.
endorphins in our own. So what? One more thing for you guys, because 10:16. I don't want to keep it too long. I don't know what your time slot was like for this tonight, but to the degree that astrology and numerology plays into some of what you're doing, do you um, do any of the projections for people? The
What do you?
the astrology readings on people, the moon readings. Do you do any of that for your customers? You teach them how to use those tools
I
to
don't.
go deep
But,
inside
but Carrie is actually learning.
astronomy.
Well, she does
Uh-huh.
astronomy, but she's actually studying astrology at a much deeper level. We're both sort of studying it, but she's kind of taking it to a whole nother level.
Well,
Where like
Okay.
we
I'm
actually do
very
readings.
interested in sort of the
Jean?
historic aspects of astrology and how the associations came to be. And so, that's something I've been very curious about. But I don't think either one of us really practice astrology.
But
Uh-huh.
you're actually learning it at a deeper. I mean, you're kind of taking it a little bit like you're
Right.
learning
I
it
am.
a little
Yeah. I'm
more.
trying
Yeah.
to understand it. Like I say, I'm trying to understand, because it goes back to the time of the Babylonians and trying
Yeah.
to understand, like, well, how did all these associations come about? How have they changed over time? And how have they affected humans? How have we used it? So looking at it, I think more from a historical and academic perspective is kind of what I get excited about.
Mhm.
But I don't know enough to like read a natal
Well,
chart at this point.
it's
So
Gotcha. Okay.
she has the software to be able to do it, but both of us are still learning because it's in our next grade level that we're going to be actually learning. I mean, practicing that, like geomancy, astrology, a couple of other things that we're going to be actually like we in our last grade level we kind of learned the basics around it, like what does this mean, what does this mean, what does this mean, and then we're going into practicus in a week. And we're going to be, and when we go into that, it's going to be, we're going to have a little bit more practice learning some of these things like that. She's done one for me, like using the software and everything. And so she knows how. It's just that she knows how better than I do. And it's just that she and I do not have the comfort level to be able to literally like spit it out. Like, oh, well, this isn't this, and this means this, and da 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 da. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Without
Yeah.
actually just going through like a whole software program and having it
Yeah.
done.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, you take the combination
Mhm.
of some of these past life regressions or
Mhm.
memories of things you've learned or went through and experienced during those lives
Mhm.
to your astral readings about your character, your
Mhm.
star sign, and then the moon phase, the moon side of it, which is your deeper. It's the opposite of the star sign, so it's the deeper inner meaning. And now you've got gene keys that I'm just starting to look at. Jeannie Griffin's looking at them too.
Mhm.
But it builds this profile. I mean, it really helps you frame
Yeah.
why
Then
you're
when you
here
add,
and what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Mhm.
And then that frees you to accept the flow of what's to come more naturally.
Right. It's very true. It's very true. Both of us have had our astrology done, and it's really quite amazing to kind of look at that and compare where you're at in this lifetime, you know.
And then when
Mhm.
you add something like numerology to it, it's you're really fine tuning it to your own person, to your own avatar. Because,
Yeah.
in my opinion, numerology is very personal and very
Mhm.
specific
Yeah.
to that particular person. Like,
Mhm.
It's
I
the
have
language of
specific,
the universe, mathematics,
it
so it
is,
makes sense
yeah.
to me.
But, I have specific numbers that are lucky, specific numbers that are
Mhm.
unlucky. And I
Mhm.
go out of my way, to
Uh-huh.
avoid the unlucky numbers at all costs. So, in other words, it's something you can overlay over an existing science that's more objective, something like astrology, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, very cool.
Well,
Mhm.
I tell you, I'm excited for you too. I think it's wonderful. Folks, if you get a chance, they've got about a dozen uploaded already
Yeah,
onto
we have,
YouTube, or you can go to
I
their
think we have
podcast.
13 or 14
Yeah.
episodes already. And they're, not to toot our own horns here, but we're going to do it anyway.
But do it.
Do it.
Everyone else can do
But,
it. You do
I
it.
mean,
Do
I've
it.
gone back and I've listened to them,
They're excellent.
and I actually enjoy just going. I sit there and I laugh when I'm listening,
Yeah.
because the dynamics between us, it's like it's entertaining. I mean, because
Mhm.
It
it's
is.
not
It's
like your
humor. There's a
traditional
lot of humor.
podcast.
Yeah.
Like we're actually, it's like we're having a discussion about something that's really interesting. We're telling our
Mhm.
stories. We're laughing and having a good time. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
can experience the love between us, and
The
there's.
chemistry.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and,
The
and and it's interesting subjects too.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're only what, 35, 45 minutes long podcasts
Some
are
some of them
typically.
are some of them are an hour. It just depends on how long-winded Michelle is that day.
Mhm.
Well, I enjoyed listening to them, and I've listened to several, and I thought it
Yeah.
was well done, well
Hmm.
produced, good information. And there were some things I wasn't aware of with the soul connection too, which
Yeah.
the twin flame versus soul uh,
Soulmate.
soulmate. Thank you.
Mhm.
And that answered some questions for me. So everybody can get something out of it, and so I think it's
Yeah,
just
folks,
great.
get a chance. It's another it's not just any other program. They actually have a really good focus and
Yeah.
good balance in their discussion, and a lot
Yeah.
of humor and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you come on. Are you doing them on what? Is there a set day of the week, or just whenever?
We record on Sundays. So she and I record every Sunday.
Mhm.
But that doesn't that it, depending on my schedule will really just depend on how fast I can get it edited. Sometimes I can get it edited and produced and locked in by
Mhm.
Wednesday, and that's usually the goal. But there's been times where I just couldn't. It just took too much time, and it was, or I was booked all day, and it was just kind of hard because
Yeah.
there's multiple things that I have to do to get it aired. I mean, I can pop it on there, but then I've got to go and do all the other stuff, the social
Mm-hmm.
media stuff along with that.
Do
But
you do it live on Sundays? Are you doing it
no, we
live?
don't
It's
do it. We don't
pre-recorded.
ever do it
Pre-
live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Dolly Belfour was asking what nights are the podcasts.
No, sometimes I ramble on a little too much. And so sometimes I'm like repeating the same thing. And so I go back and listen, and I'm like, edit, scratch
Edit.
that out. I already
Mm-hmm.
said that
So,
3
but
times.
once they're, do you usually put? You usually do it on you usually post them or turn them on and make them available by Wednesdays, right?
Typically,
Usually
that's the goal.
Oh,
That's
okay.
So,
usually the goal.
folks, if you want to listen to their podcast, just subscribe and they'll get notified.
Yeah, so
Is it-
we are pretty much on all of the platforms. So we're on Spotify, Apple, Audible, Amazon, Google. What's the one that you use,
I
Carrie?
use Pocket Casts, so
Pocket Cast.
shows
Yeah.
up for me on Pocket
We
Cast.
have Heart Radio, like
Uh-huh.
iHeartRadio?
yeah, I'm pretty sure we're on Heart Radio. We're on a bunch of them. Like
Yeah.
I record, I upload through Anchor, and Anchor gives you the opportunity to subscribe with all the different ones. So I just like went down the list and
Yeah.
I got on all of them.
Right.
So
Now
yeah.
it's important for the audience to understand this is separate from Limitless You, her Facebook shows that she does there, and her YouTube channel where she has the other clients.
I've converted the YouTube channel over.
Did you convert it? Okay.
Yeah, I still have some of the old videos that I did. I didn't take those down, but I'm pretty much the only thing I'm posting right now is moving in this direction. I even kind of changed the name of it and put our pictures up and everything. Okay. I'm just kind of trying to take everything and convert it so it's like slowly like my TikTok channel, the Instagram, everything's kind of moving in this direction where it's eventually going to be just converted to this.
Well, what good is a transformational coach if you can't transform herself into something new?
Exactly.
You little butterfly. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, our goal, like I said, our goal is to get some books published by the end of the year and start traveling and doing retreats and all kinds of stuff, you know.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I told you, I think in our last show that I got a message that I was going to have like a retreat center at some point or be doing retreats. And now it's like, it's right in front of us. Like we want to do this. We're going to.
Now, are you both in Texas?
No, she's in Washington.
You're Washington as in West Coast?
East
DC?
Coast. Mm-hmm.
Oh, East Coast. Okay, so you're not far from me. I'm in Damascus, Maryland.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, practically neighbors.
I was in DC today working at on a job site. Yes, so yeah, I was down downtown DC. Well, near the zoo. DuPont
Woodley Park. Yep.
Yeah, Woodley Park, and so we're neighbors. That's cool. But where would you do your retreats, Michelle? Would you do them?
I don't know. You know, she and I have lots of ideas. We've talked about all kinds of things. I think probably in the front end, we're going to just kind of get really good and comfortable with this kind of stuff. So we'll probably start with workshops. And then once we do that, I mean, personally, if it was me, I sort of have this idea of a couple of things. Like I want to have something very naturey, you know, like that feels like very connected to the earth and it's an experience. But I also want to do something that is more like a Hawaii event or something like that, you know.
There you go.
Like, you know, and and so we've got, you know, we have a lot of things in front of us that we're going to do.
Cruises are a good way to do that too.
Cruises are a good way. Yeah, absolutely. But they're a little bit more on the expensive side. You can do what Amy Bruni has done with Adam on their show. They have Strange Escapes Weekends, they call them. Strange Escapes Weekends. They will call up the hotel in a given location, like Gettysburg or whatever, and they'll get a block of rooms at a certain rate, discounted rate, for people who are buying the tickets to the event. And they'll rent a ballroom where they do the meet and greet, or they'll have lunch served, or they'll book a restaurant, you know, to take everybody to lunch at a restaurant. So you get this package deal, and then you have your brochure. And you advertise that to the community, and people sign up for the event. And for coming, they get a free T-shirt, and they might get, you know, a photo session with you too, and a meet and greet, which is a cocktail and cheese party. And then you have your seminar with your event schedule, and the hotel gives you that whole event space. And
that sounds that sounds great.
Block. You get a block of so you can have it in any city you want. People have to be responsible for how they get there, whether they're air travel, bus, whatever, or driving. But you can find a location halfway between you and Carrie. You know, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia is a good
go to
place
another
to have
country
it.
Or whatever, you know.
Another country. Yeah, well, yeah, you could do that too. See, she's thinking big already. Baby steps, Michelle.
I know.
We're
going to start with workshops. Yeah. Well, you know, we just got to get. Carrie is used to being on stage, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm used to being on camera. So it's a little uncomfortable for her to be on camera, and it's a little, and it's very.
Tell me about it.
The on stage thing is like, I don't know.
Lori had the YouTube channel Pure Love Ascension, so she had been on camera. I've never been on camera. I'm a public speaker like Carrie, Dale Carnegie graduate and Toastmaster, and did speaking engagements in conference rooms or in hotel lobbies or, for conventions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a whole lot different than being on camera.
Yeah.
And feeling like you've got this close up in everything you do.
That's funny. Well, it's just really weird because like on camera, like I can sit here and talk and look at you and I can talk to you. So I've gotten used to that. Really accustomed to that. But when you see these people, I mean, like Carrie's, she's a professor, so she's there's hundreds of people in her room and she's standing there, she's used to that kind of stuff, so she can get on the stage and do performances about talking about science and quantum this, that, and the other, and she can get out there and walk the stage and be comfortable because that's something she does.
That's what a professor does. They give lectures. But there's a whole difference between giving a lecture or a speech.
But you'll find once you start speaking in public to people one-on-one, you'll get your sea legs, so to speak.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I have a lot of courage. But that doesn't mean that I won't be scared to death the first time.
Right, but you'll get over it. You'll get over it.
What were you going to say, Dalibor? You were going to
I was also a professor, so I know exactly what the deal is.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, guys, we're coming to the end here. Our hour and a half went like that, and it was such a pleasure to have you both on, and we wish you nothing but success, and we know you're going to be successful at this.
That's right.
So, and we're grateful that you came on our show and we could introduce you to others. And Michelle Thompson, as always, you are always welcome on our show, as you, Carrie, are as well. And
I wouldn't be opposed to teaming up once in a while, Michelle, and just saying, hey, let's the four of us. Or five of us.
If you guys want to, we can pick a topic and we can have both of you guys on a podcast one time if you want to do that.
Yeah, sure, you bet. That'd be great.
While, it'd just be fun.
It'd be a great experience. You bet.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a subject and we'll go at it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Once in a while,
Yeah,
it'd be great. Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys letting us come in and kind of talk about it. Sure. It is a pretty new podcast, but we've got a lot of plans for it. So we're super excited, and we're, please visit our website at www.raisingyourconsciousness.com. If you go to the top where it says podcast, there's every single podcast that we do. It's usually like a week behind because it takes me some time to get there. So, it'll usually be a week behind. But you have the opportunity to actually just clicking and listening right there without having to go to like Spotify or something.
Mm-hmm.
You can stream it there, and you have the opportunity to make comments there. So you can kind of go in and like make a comment and tell us what you think, because we want to hear from our audience. We want to hear what people are saying. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of private messages, but I want to know like what everybody's thinking. I want to know like what other ideas are, like what do people
feedback
really want to hear? What are they thinking about it?
Yeah.
Do I need to go deeper on a subject?
Mm-hmm.
Did I touch it too lightly?
Yeah.
So like all of those things.
All of your contact information is in our YouTube description page. All they got to do is click on it.
Mm-hmm.
And,
well, awesome. Thank you for having us.
Comments. We enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank everybody for being in chat and listening and watching and commenting. You had some great comments, so thank you for that. And we will have a trailer of something for next week. Not sure exactly what it's going to be, but we'll have something good for you. So watch that Tuesday, Wednesday trailer, and you'll know what we're going to be speaking about. So.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks again, Dalibor. Thank you as always. Love having you with us.
Don't go anywhere, ladies. Stay here after we stay on for a second.
You bet. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks. Peace and love.
Bye.